doing, Ron?
Welcome everyone to the monthly meeting of the Warren County Board of Supervisors. Please rise while Supervisor Leggett leads us in the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reading of the roll call.
Mr. Leggett?
Present.
Mr. Gerard? Mr. McDevitt?
Here.
Ms. Kramer? Mr. Brock? Mr. McDonald?
Here.
Mrs. Fraser? Mr. Simpson?
Here.
Mr. Vancelo? Mr. Dickinson?
Here.
Mr. Merlino? Mr. Strauss?
Here.
Ms. Seaver? Here. Mr. Beatty?
Here.
Mr. Montesi?
Here.
Mr. Sokol?
Here.
Mr. Thomas?
Here.
Ms. Hyde? Here. Mr. Garrity?
Here.
Chairman Conover?
Here. You should all have received the minutes of our board meeting on August 18th. Chair will entertain a motion regarding the minutes. Mr. Simpson, motion to approve. Second, Mr. Gerard. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. I'll now call a public hearing open on proposed local law number 2 of 2017 entitled the local law amending local law number 3 of 2010 amending the duties and authority of the county administrator, and ask the clerk of the board to read aloud the notice of the public hearing.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Warren, New York is considering the adoption of proposed local law number 2 for the year 2017 entitled a local law amending local law number 3 of 2010 amending the duties and authority of the county administrator. Notice is further given that pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Board of Supervisors on August 18, 2017, a public hearing will be held by the Board of Supervisors at the Supervisors' Rooms in the Warren County Municipal Center, 1340 State Route 9, Queensbury, New York, on September 15, 2017, at 10 a.m., at which time and place all persons interested in the matter of such proposed local law number 2 for the year 2017 will be heard concerning same. A copy of said local law is available for inspection during regular business hours by contacting the Clerk of the Board of Supervisors at the above stated address and may be viewed on the Warren County website.
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address this change in the local law? There being no one, I'll close the public hearing. Our next public hearing deals with proposed local law number 3 of 2017 entitled local law repealing local law number 5 of 2004 imposing a wireless surcharge authorized by Article 6 of the county law of the state of New York and imposing a wireless communications surcharge pursuant to the authority of tax law 186-G, and ask the clerk of the board to read aloud the notice of the public hearing.
Notice is hereby given that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Warren, New York is considering the adoption of proposed local law number 3 for the year 2017 entitled a local law repealing local law number 5 of 2004 imposing a wireless surcharge authorized by Article 6 of the county law of the state of New York and imposing the wireless communication surcharges pursuant to the authority of tax law 186G. Notice is further given that pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Board of Supervisors on August 18, 2017, a public hearing will be held by the Board of Supervisors in the Supervisors' Rooms at the Warren County Municipal Center, 1340 State Route 9, Queensbury, New York, on September 15, 2017, at 10 a.m., in which time and place all persons interested in the matter of such proposed local law number 3 for the year 2017 will be heard concerning same. A copy of said local law is available for inspection during regular business hours by contacting the Clerk of the Board of Supervisors at the above stated address and may be viewed on the Warren County website.
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the board regarding this local law? There being no one, I'll close the public hearing. Report of Chairman of the Board. It's an extremely busy month. On August 21st, I attended a number of committee meetings, as well as on the 24th. I attended the facilities budget meeting. On August 25th, I attended a shared services meeting, and my congratulations to the county administrator, Kevin Garrity, for his chairing that and his handling of that state shared services program. We will, I'm sure, make good use of that through Supervisor Beatty's committee, hopefully by next year. August 28th, I attended a meeting, monthly meeting of Soil and Water Conservation District, and toured a number of district projects. Very interesting. The meeting was in Bolton, and a number of the projects were in Bolton, and I'm sure you will all share my opinion that what a wonderful organization and what a tremendous job they do throughout the county. It's tremendous with not a lot of people. On August 31st, I attended Personnel and Finance. On August 5 and 7, the various budget meetings. On September 8th, I attended a joint meeting of Warren County Finance and Personnel at the college. Later that afternoon, around 4:30, I attended the ribbon cutting on the new NSTEM project. If you haven't been to the college, if you haven't seen the project, I really encourage you to do so. I know that project met with great support from this board, and I think you can really see the fruit of that initiative. The labs, the environment, the building, it fits. It's just tremendous. And my understanding is, to a degree, they're ahead of schedule and a little bit under budget, and that's always a good thing as well. So congratulations to President Duffy and your whole team and the board of directors, the foundation, and everyone involved, the fundraisers, and everyone involved in the project. A tremendous new asset that we have. On September 12, I attended a Personnel and Finance meeting, and on September 14, I attended a budget meeting for DPW and Sheriff. That was yesterday, and that concludes my report. Reports by Chairman of the committees. Supervisor Leggett.
No reports.
Mr. Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Facilities Committee, we just have one resolution in the packet to vote on from 344, and acknowledging and suspending their revised plans for construction of a standalone office building at the Warren County Airport by Skimmerhorn Aviation.
Nick, I'm in the middle of a county meeting.
And, pardon?
A little loud.
Oh, I'm not loud enough?
Over Ron's phone.
I'm hearing you just fine.
Don't tell him that.
But it's, the FAA is also reviewing this, so get their permission and everything, and we're getting board approval today for this change. Okay?
Thank you. Supervisor McDiff.
Nothing, Mr. Chairman, other than just like to make a couple of comments when item 373 comes about.
All righty. Supervisor Bramer.
Thank you. With Supervisor Brock's permission, I'll report on environmental concerns and real property. It just has one resolution for you today, 340, amending the schedule for the auction items from July all the way to the end of October. Thank you.
You're welcome. Supervisor Brock.
I have none.
Supervisor McDowell.
I have none.
Supervisor Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. DPW Public Works did meet on August 21st. We had a brief meeting. We don't have any resolutions to forward, but we did hear from Ed Zibro representing the Warrensburg Bike Rally. And even with the inclement weather that they had over the weekend, they still had over 56,000 people in attendance there. Cars, trucks, motorcycles. That's an incredible event. So he was thanking us for our support. And really, the other thing we talked about was the Horicon Avenue sewer extension project, which to my knowledge, I think we've gotten the extension, and so we'll be ready to move forward on that next year. And also, I would be remiss if I forgot to mention the Balloon Festival that's coming up next weekend, and there is a sign-up sheet that has been sent out if anybody would like to volunteer. It's a great event, and we'd love to see you all there.
All right.
You're on it?
All right.
Okay, I'm taking notes.
Good.
Thank you. Supervisor Dickinson.
Like the cat in the hat, I got nothing.
Supervisor Strauss.
Yes, two quick things came out of the legislative committee, and there is one resolution before you today. It's Resolution 354, and it is requesting action by New York State Legislature regarding the unfunded New York State mandate pertaining to Suicide Watch at the Warren County Corrections Facility. This is not a resolution opposing the Suicide Watch. We think that is a reasonable and valid service. What we are doing is asking for the state to fund these operations that they're asking us to do. And also at the meeting, you'll probably see more of it, that we're looking at supporting a revision of the sharing formula for the wireless 911 surcharge monies in order to cover the cost of the 911 centers as intended. And that's the conclusion of my report. Thank you. Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you. Supervisor Sieber.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have several items to report on this month. First and foremost, as we meet this morning, Intercounty is meeting across the state of New York at NISAC. And thanks to Chairman Henke over in Washington County and his development of a resolution years ago, and then the support by Supervisor Bramer at NISAC, we were able to go together on Wednesday, and as a member of the Public Safety Standing Committee, we presented the resolution that we passed here at this board. It was passed unanimously at the state level at NISAC, and a great discussion took place. So that's gone on through the NISAC approvals this morning, but also the inter-county organizations that were there, and it was well over 20 counties, are excited to bring it back this morning and ask for individual counties to also pass that resolution that was started in Washington and Warren County, attaching the same or similar penalties to DWI as there are for DWI. So we certainly appreciated the support of the Public Safety Standing Committee at NISAC. Also, there's one resolution in your packet from Personnel, number 368, which of course we discussed the local hearing this morning. Also, there were discussions regarding the college, and we've gone back and forth with the request for the sponsorship of that capital project, and I'm sure Supervisor Sokol will be including all of that information in his report as it went through finance. On a personnel note, we do have two job announcements out that have been approved by the committee. They did not need resolutions to be posted, so we have a position out for the county administrator with a target date of interviews in mid-November and a start date for January. And at this time, I also wanted to publicly thank our county attorney, Brian Rickenbach, and sadly, we do have his position to fill. We went out and notified for a job announcement on the county attorney position as well. That timetable is very similar to the county administrator's position. But Brian, you've done a phenomenal job for our county. We're certainly very appreciative, and you will be missed.
Thank you.
We have performance work plans that begin on Monday. So to all of you that sit on the Personnel Committee and our chairs of committees, thank you for filling out your evaluations. And we'll start that process for the next couple weeks, but that will be done on Monday. And then lastly, the Airport Advisory Group did meet, and what came out of that meeting this month was a formal memo over to the working group from Supervisor Sokol and myself asking that this group, which was formed about a year ago in November, would still like to see a draft RFP. We were updated by our county attorney at that meeting that appears to now be an RFQ. And the group was put together as a group of volunteers to provide technical advice, and would certainly like that opportunity. So we did forward on some correspondence regarding that, and that completes my report.
Supervisor Beatty.
Thank you. Just a quick note. I'd like to thank Chairman Conover and Mr. Garrity for holding the meeting. It was state mandated, but on the other hand, they did a great job for the shared services. And as most of you know, we've extended that to all the school districts, because I really believe there's going to be some avenues of savings once we get the school districts involved. Superintendent Huntley of the largest school district in the county was here, as well as the superintendent from Warrensburg, and I appreciated them attending. And although it was the first meeting, we're off to a good start in trying to save the taxpayers additional dollars through shared services. So that's all I have. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Supervisor Montesi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your packet, there are some criminal justice resolutions, 300, 301, 302, 303, 330, and 332. And along with, I need to have an amendment to Resolution 347. The resolution as previously drafted would authorize the county to spend an amount not to exceed $79,372 on a communication system update. However, there will also be a $7,800 annual maintenance fee, so that resolution will need to be amended to include the maintenance fee.
just,
Would you like to make that a motion right now to amend
yes,
that resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I would.
Do we have a second to the motion? Supervisor Stroud, thank you. Any further discussion on the amendment? We're ready for the question. All those in favor of amending Resolution 347 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is carried. This
The,
will be voted on under resolutions.
Thank you. The other good news is that the Ring Road, which we weren't sure about, is going to be open in October, and in the middle of October, and I think the sheriff will be very happy with that. It's a long ride around for his guys. And night assignment, or we're going to have at our criminal justice meeting this week on Monday, we're going to have Judge Hobbs talk about the night arraignment. And just a very brief discussion, but to fill everyone on the committee in. And that's it.
Thank you. Supervisor Sokol.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Finance met on August 31st as well as September 12th. Before you, for your consideration, are resolutions 337, 338, 359 through 367, 369, and 371 through 376. So we had a couple of busy 2 weeks here for finance. I just want to highlight on a few resolutions in your packet. 373 is establishing capital project for SUNY Adirondack culinary expansion. Warren County will be the sponsor, as was said by the chairman, for this project. SUNY Adirondack did receive financial approval from the Empire State Development for $1 million. But with all of their projects happening and going on, they are kind of dry with funds. So we are going to step up and provide those funding, and then when the grant comes through, we will get those monies back. This was part of the governor's downtown revitalization initiative. 374 addresses a presentation made by Terry Como. He is on the Warren County Coroner's Office, and these are relating to cost-saving measures for autopsies. This pretty much revolves around payment for services. There is a problem with Glens Falls Hospital that they do not want to do these autopsies. Saratoga doesn't have the capacity to add more of these autopsies, so we're forced with going to Albany Med, and coming from some of our higher county or our higher towns in the county, there were varying payments that were made to some of the funeral homes for these services. So 374 addresses a contract that we can side with and work with the funeral homes to have finite numbers for these removals. 395 is a settlement for $5,000, which our county attorney did a great job working with the homeowner on. September 12th was a meeting, special meeting regarding Warren County's potential to enter into opioid litigation. Donald Boyajian has a law firm in Saratoga. He is working with the Simmons Company out of Albany. Basically what we have here, and I just want to read this one sentence that he had given the committee. Donald mentioned what was telling about the case was that it brought to the fruition that the opioid crisis did not occur by accident or coincidence, but rather because of a concerted, aggressive, and fraudulent marketing scheme that was perpetrated by the executives of these companies, to the extent that 3 of these executives pled guilty to felonies for fraudulent marketing. So these opioids were supposed to be used for short-term problems. Well, some of the doctors have been, not forced, but they've been using these opioids for patients and putting them on long-term, where the drug starts to lose its potency and you therefore need more, where you form this addiction. So along with Donald Boyajian and the firm, they are working with other counties in the area to try to form a group of force against these manufacturers. So We also had in committee come up that there's another company that may be interested in working with Warren County, so we will be hearing from them hopefully in the next month to see where we want to go, if we want to go anywhere. I would like to also add to Rachel's comment about our county attorney. Brian, it's been great. You've been an asset to the county, and we are sadly going to miss you. You have an understanding of materials, and to deal with 20 supervisors, quite the job itself. So thank you very much. On a side note, I did last Sunday take a trip up the countryside. They had their annual picnic. I did catch the tail end of it because I had a party at the tavern. We talked about this last month. But anyway, I caught the tail end of it, and they had over 200 people show up. They probably had expected more, but there were a couple of events that were going on. So, but all in all, Ed said it was just a tremendous gathering. A lot of families, a lot of members of the community showed up, and they just had a great time. They had great weather. And I also had time to skip across the street to go see the oh my God, what do they call it?
Clamping?
Clamp. Thank you. Cooperative extension. Yeah. So I drove in there and took a ride through. It's pretty impressive. There are probably 30 to 35 tents there. There's some bandstands. There are some activity centers. There's places to have bonfires. I don't mind bonfire. I don't mind grilling. I could even take my sneakers off and walk in the grass. But when it comes down to sleeping, I don't want to be on a sleeping bag with a bug. So it was really nice. One of the tents was unzipped, so I took a peek. They had a couple beds in there, a couple of chairs, some lighting, and they had a big rug that you could hang on. It was really impressive. It was nice to see. So I hope they were doing well up there. That's enough of my tirade. I do have Treasurer Swan who would like to step to the podium, please.
Good morning, everybody. Just a few quick things. The email went out this morning. Sales tax is up right now, 1.9%, almost 2%, so that's good news. The railroad, they still owe us some of the minimum payment from the last contract year, and we have not received anything from them for July or August. As far as the occupancy tax goes, the occupancy collections are up. I don't have the exact final figures now, but I will have them for the Tuesday meeting. But they are up a little bit. I am presently working with Airbnb and a couple of the other online booking agents to start collections through them. So that hopefully will be tied up by the first of the year, and we'll start collecting from them. I'm also working with the county attorney's office to start kind of a new step forward in enforcement on some of the very few, and I want to emphasize it's very few properties that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing as far as giving us their occupancy tax collections. On another note, kind of a positive note, the county attorney and myself had a quick meeting earlier in the week with a couple of private citizens who basically have turned us on to what may be a lead to help us collect some of the outstanding Westmount claims. Got my fingers crossed on that. Thank you, Brian. And while I'm talking to Brian, thank you for your service. You've done a good job, and we'll miss you. And lastly, I know some of you may or may not know, in about a week and a half, I'm going to start the process of having my knees replaced. So I'm going to be out of the office for several weeks. My staff will actually, they don't really need me. I'm just kind of there. They'll be doing all the work anyway. So, but if you do need something, give them a call. I will be keeping up with my email, so I'll kind of know what's going on. And if you do need to get a hold of me, my office can share my cell phone number with you, and you can call me. Although the first week I may be a little out of it. And while I'm here, are there any questions concerning the sponsorship for the Sooty Adirondack that I can answer right now? The resolution. I'm very happy with the resolution that's in the packet. Mary and I went over this. I think we're both satisfied with the wording and how it's all set up and how everything is going with it. But while I'm standing here, if anybody's got any questions,
Supervisor Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hey, Mike, I'm not so sure it's good to say you're not needed on here at budget time. Not a good thing to say.
Yeah, well.
We'll cut you out.
Supervisor Bramer.
Thank you. I have a question on the SUNY thing. I'm glad that you're comfortable with the language. I want to make sure that you're comfortable with the dollar figure, you know, coming out and us being okay as far as the fund balance.
Well, we do fortunately have the money right now, so that's not going to be a problem. It will be a problem, obviously, if the money doesn't come back to us.
Right.
I'm fairly certain and confident that after reviewing all the grant documents and the guarantees from the state that we will get our money. But, you know, nothing is guaranteed, but I feel comfortable with it, yes.
Okay.
All right.
Can I
Supervisor McDivitt?
maybe just a couple of quick comments. This project is a high priority project for the governor's office. So I think we can feel comfortable that that the $1 million will indeed be paid back. I think it's also important to maybe state that if there is some misconception going forward with the expense of this program, both counties budget for the operation of this program. Warren County currently contributes 6.6% of operating expenses, and Washington County contributes 4.9%. And this is per the funding formula created in 1961. So I feel comfortable with the explanations that Mike has given us, and going forward, I think we'll be fine.
Sure.
Just maybe one last
Sure.
comment. It seems to me the key to the NSTEM program and this program is that it seems as much as possible our function ought to be to, as much as possible, provide an available and quality workforce for our community, and to provide a mechanism where students, employees can maybe find a long-term home in our community and stay in our area as opposed to moving out of the area. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Supervisor Beatty.
Yeah, thank you. I guess we'll talk about this now with Mr. Swan up there. But yes, concerning 373, I'm going to be voting no against that today. And I've got some serious concerns, as Dennis brought up at a meeting. What if we don't get paid? So we're on the hook for $1 million. And I understand that everything's very tight and so forth, but I do know the state owes us a lot of money still from past different issues. And so as much as a lot of people have confidence in the state, I don't always have confidence in the state. That's number one. Number two is they had a great building up on Bay Road. That thing was only like 4 or 5 years old, and just all of a sudden to say, well, we're going to move it downtown, you know, we're going to need over $1 million to remodel that spot downtown. To me, there's a lot of questions that I just didn't feel comfortable with. I've been a strong supporter of NSTEM. I voted for that funding, so I am a supporter of SUNY Adirondack, but I'm not a supporter of every single thing that comes down the pipe. And I always like to look at each individual item and issue. As we all know, healthcare in this county is the second largest employer, and so henceforth was one of the driving factors for me to support the NSTEM and the millions of dollars that the county had to provide. And the last thing is, Warren County's being asked to put up the $1 million. Washington hasn't been. And the reason was, well, because you guys have more money. Well, I just find that a little weak in my opinion. So for all those reasons, I'm going to vote against that today. But I wish them all the best.
Yeah, I would ask at this juncture that if you could be patient until we get to resolutions. Does anyone have any further questions for the Treasurer, Supervisor Sieber?
Thank you. Mike, perhaps before you are out on medical or before Brian leaves, is there a way just to get a memo update on these recovery efforts that you identified, or can you provide that?
Well, I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, but Mary, I think, has been kind of assigned to that, and we will be in contact. So, yeah, if anything does start to come of it, you will be the first to know.
All righty. Supervisor Montesi.
Mike, I'm very happy that the way the structure is. We're not loaning the call it $1 million and putting it out. The procedure that you've set up is that as bills get
That's correct.
sent to us, invoices, we will pay them, and that will count towards the $1 million.
Correct.
That's a pretty good safety valve for us, too.
Fine, thank you, Mike.
That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's enough. Now for the man of the hour, our budget officer, Supervisor Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. And myself and Rob Lynch and Joanne McKinstry and the Administrator, Mr. Garrity, have met with all the department heads. I've met with all of them at least once. I've met with a couple twice. I think the budget overall, it hasn't been all put together because the department heads don't have to submit their budgets to the clerk until today. So next week it'll be added up. I think it's probably up some, up over the revenue that we have to pay for the increases. And then my goal has been to address the debt service. We have $1 million approximately in additional debt service that is at this point unfunded with revenue. And while with the increases that I've seen, I don't think we'll get all the debt service into the budget as with the revenue, but I think we'll make a good stab at it. And so that's kind of where we're at. I wish I could tell you more, but I don't really know what the total numbers are at this point. So.
Well, as usual, Frank, I attended a number of the budget meetings, and I just want everyone to know how meticulous you and everyone are relative to going line by line through each department and questioning and looking at this in great detail, and the hours and days that you invest in this is, believe me, is very much appreciated.
Well, thanks. We did have some second meetings yesterday, and it was very productive with DPW and with the sheriff. So I thought that was a very good thing. Brian, I wish you the best in all your future endeavors, and thank you for your service. And thank you, Bill Mitchell.
Thank you, Supervisor Hyde.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No report.
Very good. Yes, I'm going back. Mr. Merlino,
Thank you, Mr.
last
Chairman.
but not least.
Sorry I'm late again, but there's no resolutions in your packet for tourism. The only thing that I'd just like to everyone know, the department's currently working on the 2018 group travel planner and the 18 travel guide. Our fall festival advertisement is on the air right now, and also all our social and digital campaigns are underway. Department will have a booth at the Balloon Festival, and it will also be up at the garage sale in Lawrenceburg. And the only other thing on the parks O&M, 341, it's just an intimate agreement with the county and soil and water to take care of the park part of
The conservation.
conservation part of the Charliewood Park, the wetlands.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Report by the county administrator.
Okay. We have 4 employees who reached 20-year milestones this past month. 3 are in the sheriff's department: Vicki Walters, Joe Ewing, who has retired, and Alexander McPherson, and then 1 in DPW, Lisa Carpenter. Congratulations to those 4 employees who had their 20 years of service this past month. Our month was pretty busy. As I said, we attended committee meetings and budget meetings. That consumed most of the time. And I'd like to recognize Brian LaFleur is back from an accident. I'm not sure if he was committing an unsafe act, but he did break his hip. So I'm here for you, sir. So he's back. Thank you, Brian. And then also, I'd like to share my comment as former chairman of the board and now as acting administrator. I've had the pleasure of working with Brian since he's been here after Martin Apthew retired. And I could tell you, it's unfortunate that we're losing him. His performance has been more than admirable. He came in to a touchy situation. He's done very good getting us back on track. We all know the reason why he is leaving. You know, there is a conflict, or the courts feel there's a conflict. But I can tell you in my tenure with him,
the other job as being a justice in the town of Lake George never affected his job performance here. He was always here for us, and it's unfortunate, but like I said, he's done a yeoman's job, and congratulations, Brian, and good luck with your new endeavor.
Thank you. That's it. Report by the county attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No substantive report on any of the issues here today. I just want to let you know that by operation of law on October 1st, Mary Cassane, as the first assistant county attorney, will be acting county attorney. She will then have all the duties and authority of that position, and you folks will be in very good hands. So I hope she's looking forward to that. Thank you for your respect over my tenure. I appreciate that as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All righty, reading of communications.
Report of criminal and family workloads for July 2017 from the Warren County Probation Department. Warren County Department of Weights and Measures monthly reports for June through August 2017. ProAct Warren County Prescription Discount Utilization Card Report for months of January 2016 through July 2017. Capital District Regional Off-Track Betting Corp. June 2017 surcharge check in the amount of $4,394, and the July 2017 surcharge check in the amount of $5,166, and letter of introduction, a description of goals and intentions from the Adirondack Volunteer Firefighters Benevolent Association.
Reading of resolutions.
Proposed resolution number 337 through 369 were mailed. Proposed resolution number 342 was amended after mailing. The revised resolution was emailed to the board and posted to the county website last week. Copies of the revised resolution is in your folder, and a motion is needed to approve the amendments to resolution 342.
Mr. Simpson, Mr. Dickinson on the second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Proposed resolution numbers 370 through 376 were approved after mailing. Copies were emailed to all members of the Board of Supervisors and posted to the county website earlier in the week. Printed copies are in your folders. A motion is needed to bring proposed resolution numbers 370 to 376 to the floor.
Motion, Mr. Dickinson, second, Mr. Thomas. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. First, we'll start. Any supervisors wishing to request a roll call on any resolution? Mr. Beatty?
343.
Roll call on 343. Very good. Anyone else? Mr. Schrow?
371, 372.
371.
And the reason is I'm on the SUNY Adirondack board and would have to recuse myself, so that would have to be my vote, so I have to request a roll call.
I understand. Any other roll calls? Mr. Brock?
Excuse me, 344.
344. Roll call. Any other roll calls? Discussion on resolutions. No, before we get to that, let's hear from the public. Is there anyone in the public wishing to comment on any of the resolutions presently before the board? Very good. Now I'll open up to the board itself. Discussion on resolution, Ms. Sieber.
Thank you. I have two items I'd like to discuss, but first and foremost, it seems there's a lot of questions around the resolution regarding the college. And I just wonder if it would be appropriate at this time to ask President Duffy perhaps to field any of those questions that might need a little more explanation. For instance, the process of which the vouchers would be paid, and also the need of, why we're going through this process. Why is there a need for change, as Supervisor Beatty brought up? But I thought perhaps you were comfortable with that.
Well, let's, without objection, President Duffy.
Thank you.
Is there anyone that has any questions for President Duffy at this time? Mr. Molino, Supervisor Molino.
Morning. The project here, I'm not against. I like to see expansion, but I don't think there was enough information on the operation of how it's going to be run, how many more new employees you might have to have, because that's the stuff that adds to budgets.
Sure.
And budgets keep going up and up and up, and more money is asked for from the counties and outsourcing people and your residents there too.
Okay.
So I just felt that would like to know, or find out what you anticipate a budget for that operation.
Sure.
After the $1 million is done to get it ready.
Right.
So let me go back a little bit and start with our current location. So we've been at the Bay Road location for about 5 years. That building is actually older than that, just to be clear. It was a deli before that. It was some other things, I think, before that. So when we moved in there, it met our needs at the time. We've outgrown that space. Actually, 2 years ago, we started to notice that we weren't really able to respond to the demand of the students in the culinary program. But the way that facility is set up, we don't have any teaching, we don't have an actual classroom. Everything is taught in the actual restaurant part in the kitchen, and so it limits our ability to offer, say, 2 sections of a course, which would accommodate the enrollment. It's also limited in the fact that there's been much more demand and interest on students and really the needs in the workforce to add a baking component to our program. We have no capacity to do that. So regardless of whether this had been the project or not, we were looking for ways to expand that. In fact, it's in our facilities master plan that was put in there a couple years ago. So that had already been in motion. Then we had the opportunity to be able to take advantage of some funding to support move to downtown, to be part of the Glens Falls revitalization, to be able to partner with the expansion of what is anticipated, the farmers market, to be part of that community. In fact, since day one that I've been here, and I know with my predecessors, there's been a great deal of interest of having the college have some presence downtown. So we saw this as an opportunity to not only expand our culinary program to meet the workforce needs. Healthcare is absolutely a huge employer in this area, but so is hospitality and tourism, given by the fact of some of the people that are here, and you all know that. So our ability to respond to, we have meetings with our large employers annually to talk about their concerns about they can't fill the positions that they need in the culinary area, and can the college provide more students. So to me, it revolves around all of those things. So having the opportunity to be able to expand our space, be able to bring our students to downtown, be part of the downtown vibe, so to speak, gives us all kinds of opportunities not only to expand enrollment, but also to provide services downtown. So we have a vision of the restaurant space that we'll be able to have, the teaching space that we'll be able to have, and the kitchen space to be able to also be an asset for the community. One of the things that we've learned from some of the small food entrepreneurs in the area, there's no place to rent for a test kitchen. So if someone wants to test their product and they don't have the capability, there's no test kitchen where they've been able to access. Or catering businesses that are run out of their homes, to be able to rent out some space, and our space will be able to utilize the space not only for our needs, but also to open it up as a community asset. So there's multi-pieces of this. As far as operating the facility, we have costed all of that out, as you might expect. It will be an increase to our rental expense. We currently rent at the space in Bay Road, and although we're doubling our space, the rental expense is not quite double of what we're spending, and we've budgeted for that. We've developed a cost estimate to determine what enrollment we're expecting to increase to offset those expenses. We believe by about 5 years we'll almost be able to more than half or increase our enrollment by about 50%, which we think will be then help us to offset those expenses. At this point, we wouldn't be adding any new staffing. We'd be able to accommodate the expansion with the current staff, and we have a projection going forward as enrollment increases, potentially adding a faculty member in about 3 to 4 years. So we have costed all of that out. We're able to manage it within the budget that we have. And then we'll continue to look at other resources and funding. Given the high popularity of food and being able to be a workforce partner, we're hoping to be able to also gain some other support from either private donors as well as any state or federal grants that we can pursue. So it's on our top priority now that we've completed our comprehensive campaign to support the current projects. This is the next campaign priority that our foundation and I have had a discussion about to start looking at ways to raise funds. I hope that answers your question.
Any other questions?
I thank you for all that information. It was helpful to me, and I would love to see you get some breakfast cooked. I own a bed and breakfast, and I've been working 4 straight months every day, without a day off cooking breakfast. That's why I'm always late for 10 o'clock meetings, because they're hard to find.
Yep.
Oh,
I'll pass that along to Chef Bolton.
Thank you.
Yep.
Supervisor Montesi.
the number of students that are involved right now in the culinary, and maybe you might know the nursing. I just want to compare them.
Sure. So we currently have, it fluctuates between about 60 and 70 students in culinary. In nursing, it's over 200. Mm-hmm.
Supervisor Beatty.
That was one of the questions I was going to ask. Thanks, Ron. The other one is, how many people have we turned away from the culinary program due to our current size?
So we generally don't turn away students to be in the culinary program, but their ability to get the courses that they need in the sequence, what happens is, what we've seen is students start the program, but then they get off sequence and being able to complete it in a 2-year frame or 3 years, depending on what the student's goals are. And so we've actually seen students leave the program because they haven't been able to keep on track, and it ends up extending their time. So I can't give you a specific number, but I'm happy to see if we can figure that out for you. But we know that we're not able to accommodate the students that are actually raising their hand and saying, I want to be a culinary student.
And how many full-time students do we currently have at your college?
Our total enrollment is right around 3,800. Our full-time students, about 60% of that.
Okay, so 60% of 38, so it's about 2,000?
Yeah, like 2,200 or so, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Very good. Supervisor Brock.
Yes, Supervisor Beatty said the reason you came to us is because, I hope I'm saying this right, because we have the money. I don't believe that's correct.
No, we came to you, first because the actual project is situated in Glens Falls, and so we felt that it was, appropriate to come to Warren County as one of our sponsors. The second thing that I don't think we really talked about, but we're very cognizant of needing to get this reimbursement from Empire State Development. The more streamlined we can manage the invoices, the easier it will be for us to then submit them to Empire State Development. So dealing with one sponsor just seemed to make the most sense to keep this moving in a progression that would allow you to get the money that you need back.
Supervisor Brammer.
Thank you very much. I think President Duffy hit on a lot of the points already, but I just wanted to say that it's a great testament to our program, to the college's program, that they already are, exceeding the space that they have there. And we want to be relevant to our community and serving, hundreds, if not thousands, of our residents going through this culinary program. So I think that this is a great opportunity for the college, that we should support them as their, one of their sponsors. And I think that it's great that we're going to be able to expand enrollment in order to offset some of our operating expenses, because that's something that they were just talking to us about in that joint meeting with Washington County, how important that's going to be over the next 7 years to figure out ways to make that work. So I'm fully in support.
Supervisor Doug Beatty,
Yeah,
are you?
Just for the record, it was at that meeting when I think Mr. Dickinson asked, or somebody said, why did you choose us and not Washington County too? And you said, because we had the money. So just for point of reference, Jim, that was the actual statement. So
Okay. Any other
I
questions?
can look it up on the video, Jim.
Any other questions for for President Duffy?
Can I?
Supervisor Brock?
Yeah, not at that meeting, but at the meeting before when you did the presentation, you pointed out that the actual, I don't know if you want to call it tradition or the practice is when a building or a project's in Washington County, you go to Washington County. When a project's in Warren County, you go to Warren County for the money. And that's the actual reason for it.
Thank you.
That's on the video, too.
Thank you, President Duffy.
Thank you.
I just know what I saw and heard last week.
Thank you. Alrighty, then I'll call discussion on this resolution is closed. And discussion on other resolutions. Supervisor McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just waiting for the questioning period to be over.
Oh, you all right? Then
I'll
I'll
speak favorably of this resolution.
I understand.
I'm trying to keep point of order a little bit.
Oh.
I just want to express my support for this. Sometimes some of these projects come along, or rather some of these decisions come along, and there's a lot of pros and there's a lot of cons. There's some risk, perhaps. Maybe we don't get this grant money back right away, but we will get it eventually. At the end of the day, this project is a way for SUNY Adirondack to raise the bar, so to speak, for their entire catalog offering. If there's a student who is looking to get into this industry, the hospitality tourism industry, which is the number one industry in this region. They're going to look at SUNY Adirondack. They're going to look at perhaps something down in Troy or Schenectady. And on Bay Road, maybe it's adequate, maybe it serves a function, but if I'm looking at the options, I want to be somewhere where there's energy, there's a lot of activity, there's room for walkability and interaction with other restaurants, other people, exchanging ideas. That leads to creativity. That gets people more excited, all right? Downtown Glens Falls right now is a showcase of what public and private investment can do to transform not just a little city, but an entire region. And I think to slow this down, just because it's a little unorthodox that we're doing a lone sort of program here, I think that would slow down a lot of incredible momentum that we have going right now. So I'd be very happy to see this move forward, not just for Glens Falls, but for the entire Warren County and Washington County. Thank you.
Hey, I would like to close the discussion on this. Is anyone else? Thank you. Then I'll close discussion on this resolution, if that's all right. Discussion on other resolutions. Supervisor Bramer.
Thanks. I just have one little comment to make about 351, which is an agreement that we are going to support for the Warren-Hamilton County Office for the Aging. I just wanted to point out that that also supports the Warren-Hamilton County Community Action and that is based in Glens Falls, but services Hamilton County in their HEAP outreach program. So I think this is great, and that we are supporting that and working that all together to help people who need that assistance.
Any further discussion on 351? Then I will close the discussion on 351. Any further discussion on resolutions? Ms. Sieber?
Thank you. I'm not sure if the county attorney or Supervisor Montesi or Brian LaForce can answer my question, but as it relates to 355, obviously we recall having this passed several months ago. I know there was a little bit of a holdup in terms of discussion on getting this contract out to the users to look at. We, of course, encouraged all of our fire and EMS to utilize this once the county pays for it, and that they would have, one of the benefits, they would have been prorated back a reimbursement for, their time period. They've also had it. So I'm just wondering a little more information on why it's back in front of us now.
There was a problem, I think, Brian, with the date. This is on I Am Responding.
Brian?
There was a slight delay in the contract and getting the wording correct between us and I Am Responding. Because that happened, now the start and termination dates for the contract with them have already gone by that, even though it hasn't signed yet. This is purely just to update the termination and start dates that are on the contract.
May I?
Supervisor Sieber, sure.
Is the contract in place now? Is it being utilized?
It's not being utilized. Once this is approved today, then we'll be able to move ahead. The I Am Responding people have built the entire system. Everything is ready to go. When I get approval from this today, we'll push the button, and everything will be ready to go.
And Brian, would you respond also to Rachel on the money that'll come back to the individual EMS?
Yeah, there's probably 7 organizations right now that currently use I Am Responding. They, in order to use I Am Responding, pay a contract, say 1 year, 3 years, whatever. Those that have already paid ahead for their contract period, the day we start this, they will get a credit back from I Am Responding for that time.
It's still a 1-year contract.
Ours is a 1-year contract. We put it in the budget for next year to continue it. But in order to get this started, we're starting with a 1-year contract. However, they gave us the 3-year pricing. The pricing that we received, the discount we received if we did go 3 years, we're receiving that, but our initial contract is only 1 year.
And we're also including the sheriff's office.
And the sheriff's office is also, we've added them, they requested for some of the groups that they have with their operation, and at no additional cost, we've added that to the system. So it's pretty good stuff.
Brian, are you okay with that response?
That's everything I would have said.
Okay, very good. Any other discussion on 355? There being none, I will close discussion on 355. Any further discussion on resolutions? Ms. Bramer?
Thank you. Just one more quickly on 343. I'm concerned. I just want to point out that this is on the other runways, the runway 30, but our costs have creeped up on that and some of the other projects at the airport. It's just something I wanted to point out and that I'm concerned about. Thank you.
Discussion on resolutions. Then I'll close. Mr. Brock?
I just want to ask Claudia a question. Are you afraid that the cost is above what the grant is? Is that what you're saying?
I'm guessing the grant, well, 43. I think the grant is not covering this.
Right,
These are for the real estate closing costs. I think it had to do with the title insurance, if I remember from that committee meeting.
Do you know do you have an idea of what the cost?
How far over we went originally? No.
Okay.
This is seeking the $9,000 total cost. That's the, you get 95% cost. Resubmission, because those costs are unanticipated, because they are 95%.
Did you hear that, Jim?
$9,974.
$9,974, and which we will be submitting for reimbursement regarding 95%. Discussion on resolutions. Any other discussion on any resolutions? There being none? We can vote on resolutions.
Okay. Resolution 337, making supplemental appropriations. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver? Yes. Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 338, amending Warren County budget for 2017. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 343, amending Resolution 205, 2015, authorizing submission of grant application. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Abstain.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
No.
Mr. Beatty?
No.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
No.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 344, acknowledging and consenting to revised plans for construction of standalone office building. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Abstain.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver? Yes. Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 357, amending the table of organization. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 361, authorizing appropriation of funds from the West Mount Legacy Reserve Fund. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard? Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 362, authorizing appropriation of funds from deferred revenue Gaslight Village parking fees. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard? Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 363, increasing capital project H343 Westbrook Road Sidewalk Project. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 364, decreasing capital project H352. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson? Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 365, decreasing capital project H354. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 366, increasing capital project H254. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 367, increasing capital project H325. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard? Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes. Can we fix the typo on that resolution too, please? Thank you.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
No.
Mr. Beatty?
No.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
No.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 368, enacting local law number 2 of 2017. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 369, enacting local law number 3 of 2017. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 371, authorizing collective bargaining agreement between SUNY Adirondack and SUNY Adirondack Educational Support Personnel. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Recuse.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 372, supporting the Adirondack Community College Capital Improvement Plan for 2018 and 19. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
Recuse.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 373, establishing capital project H373 SUNY Adirondack Culinary Expansion, authorizing Warren County to sponsor the project and authorizing transfer of funds and amending Warren County budget for 2017. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard?
Yes.
Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Strauss?
Recuse.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
No.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes.
Resolution 376, making supplemental appropriation. Mr. Leggett?
Yes.
Mr. Gerard? Mr. McDevitt?
Yes.
Ms. Bramer?
Yes.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Strauss?
Yes.
Ms. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Mr. Montesi?
Yes.
Mr. Sokol?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Mr. Garrity?
Yes.
Chairman Conover?
Yes. All right, motion on the balance of resolutions. Mr. Dickinson, Mr. Simpson on the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Now I'll extend privilege of the floor to anyone in the audience wishing to address the Board of Supervisors at this time. Mike? Sure.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Board of Supervisors. I'm not here to say thank you and goodbye. I did that last month at your meeting, but more importantly, I'm here to introduce you to the new Executive Director for the Lake George Regional Chamber of Commerce and Convention and Visitors Bureau. A very extensive search, but I certainly do believe in my heart that the search committee made the right choice to bring on this young woman to help lead us in the efforts of the promotion of our entire region and to make us a vibrant year-round destination. And so I would like to introduce you to Gina Mincer.
Thank you all. I came here I've been the Director of Sales for the Albany County Convention and Visitors Bureau for the last 19 years, and prior to that spent 9 years with the Pyramid Companies marketing 6 different shopping centers throughout New York and Massachusetts throughout my career. So I'm very excited to be here. I'll become a Queensbury resident as of November 1st. And in the meantime, I'll be staying at various hotel properties throughout the region, getting to know the lay of the land. And right now I'm on the listening and learning tour. So thank you all for the warm welcome.
You're welcome. Welcome. Welcome to Warren County. Anyone else wishing to address the board? Frank?
Thank you, Supervisor Conover. My name's Frank Dietrich, Lake George, New York. I'm representing the Warren County Lodging Association, as well as another 30-some-odd businesses that are in the tourism industry in our county. We all know how important tourism is to our county. The activity that you just passed, the resolution for the Culinary Arts Program, is one of those. I don't know a property in the area that's not dying for chefs and cooks, honestly. Supervisor Merlino obviously is the expert at breakfast in Lake Luzerne, as we all know. Tourism is very important to our county. 12% of the county residents make their employment in tourism today. Those are direct jobs, so that's working in a restaurant, that's working at a hotel, working with amusements or the like. Another 10%, so 22% in total, I have an indirect relationship with tourism and their employment here. An example would be Cisco Foods, for example, or GF Produce or something like that. But their industry pivots off of the tourism economy. And beyond employment, tourism contributes tens of millions of dollars to Warren County in the form of local sales tax. As a business organization, we've come together. We see the tourism economy as the growth engine for both the towns, villages, as well as the county here. We've spoken with many of you about that. So far, we intend to talk to all of you as we go. We see growth coming in 2 forms. First and foremost is an opportunity to generate an increase in local county sales tax contributions. It is tens of millions today. It's at least 30 that's directly tied to tourism today. We see tens of millions more in opportunity sitting there if we go about the marketing and promotion of our space in new and more aggressive ways. Second opportunity is the employment growth for our residents in the forms of better jobs and year-round positions. As we look at the next 2 to 3 months, a couple things coming up. In about a month, about 3,000 residents in this county are going to lose their jobs. They're part of the seasonal tourism economy, and they will go on the bench, as they say, and we hope to see them again next year, but that's 3,000 some odd folks. That number is even higher when you consider folks like Cisco. They deliver into Lake George Village 6 times a week. Now, in a month, they deliver once. So there's drivers that won't be driving, there's warehouse people that won't be warehousing, all of which is tied to the strength of our economy. And then we see this as upside potential, by the way. It's not a negative. There's upside potential here to offset those kind of really fairly dramatic changes in our county itself. All of you are working on the county budget now, and many of you are working on your town budgets. We see the power of tourism as a way out, if you will. Taking sales tax generated through the tourism economy, running that into the general fund of the county, and then therefore into the towns and the villages, we see as an unbelievably powerful option, especially when you compare and contrast it with the other option, which we see as raising taxes locally. So as we think about it, the opportunity for tourism-generated sales tax offsets the demands that otherwise falls to our residents. Some things that just hit us as, again, especially powerful. Many of you have shared information with us. We have a double-digit percentage of students in our community that need subsidy for lunch. How can we raise taxes if we're already sitting where school lunch requires a subsidy? I mean, it's not a question of do you like the local tax, it's a question of can you even afford it in our mind's eye. And again, the tourism opportunity here, it is sitting right in front of us. We have more assets than any other upstate region, yet we share only 2% of the tourism spend in New York State. The business community's reached out to many of you already. We're very happy with the response. The dialogue's been very good. We're looking for to partner with both the county, the towns, the local businesses, the chambers coming together. We're very happy to have Gina on board. Her experience is going to be wonderful, coming in, right behind Michael's efforts here. So we're very excited to have these discussions. So far, the discussions have been positive. We're looking to shape a good outcome here, and we see that's something, that we should be working together forward on a way forward from here, all with the intent of benefiting all the stakeholders. County in the form of increased sales tax revenue, local sales tax revenue, the residents in terms of offsets to the county and local demands for taxes. The tourists get to enjoy one of the most magnificent spots on the planet, many of whom are 3 hours away. They're sitting right there waiting for us. So again, we look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Anyone else wishing to address the board at this time? There being no one, announcements. Announcements from the floor. Mr. Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to speak on behalf of the town of Hague, wonderful town of Hague. Edna would certainly be reporting on this if she were here. They're going to have a presentation on September 29th at 7 p.m. in their community center on the hemlock woolly adelgid, which has been found on Prospect Mountain. We suspect it's in other areas, but it just hasn't been confirmed yet. Dr. Mark Whitmore from Cornell University is going to be there with others from the Nature Conservancy to do this presentation, and it's very important. If anybody can attend, it'd be well worth the time. Something that's coming our way.
Thank you.
It is here.
Absolutely, Supervisor Beatty.
Yeah, I would also like to thank Brian. I felt that he did a remarkable job in remaining fair, independent, because I know it's just human nature. People want to sway you to their way of thinking, their way of positions, and I felt where I hadn't felt in the past that there was a true down-the-road, middle-of-the-road independent thinking, and for that I thank you very much. And just one little announcement, the Glens Falls Civic Center will be naming their press box tomorrow for my good friend Dave Strader. I think everybody knows him. He's the Hall of Fame announcer from our area who always came back every summer to live here and to be part of this community. And they're going to recognize him tomorrow. And there's actually a fundraiser for his cancer. It's a bile duct cancer and Alzheimer's up at Sunnyside. And that's no plug for Sunnyside. That's just a plug for good people doing good things to fight good diseases. And we all have a lot of those causes. So thank you.
You're welcome. Supervisor Bramer.
I'll echo Supervisor Beatty's comments about our county attorney. Thank you very much for being fair and addressing all of us, all 20 of us, and all of our department heads too. You know, it was an overwhelming job, and we're going to miss you a lot. I also want to put a plug in for the Balloon Fest. I know everyone knows about it, but Thursday night we will be at Crandall Park in the city, so come down, enjoy walking around, and there will be a car show too. I think it's down on Glen Street, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other announcements? Mr. Garrity.
Those who purchase calendars through the county, they're available at purchasing office. Please try to get over there afterwards on the third floor to see Julie. She has your calendars. And then I'd just like to put a plug in for the world's largest garage sale, which starts the 29th of September. If you need parking, come see me at the firehouse. I can get you a deal. $5.
Supervisor Merlino.
I too want to thank the attorney. He's been very fair, especially when I had dealings with him. Straight laced. Yes, you can do it. No, you can't. And that's what we're going to miss here. So, and the second thing, Lake Luzerne celebrating its 225th anniversary Saturday with a small parade at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anyone else have an announcement? Cheryl, Mr. Dickinson. Very good. Cheryl, entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Simpson, Mr. Dickinson on the second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.